Pluto is an energy that's about power and control. With Moon Square Pluto, the individual is someone who wants to control external circumstances, people in the space around them, events in the space around them. Yeah, they want to do that. They want to control all of that for the sake of keeping themselves emotionally stable, emotionally cool, um, for their emotions to feel at ease. And the reason that I, as a Moon Square Pluto person, do this is because my emotions are very, very sensitive. And they're also very, very powerful. I try to control what's happening around me as a way to compensate for the feeling that I can't control what's happening inside. For a Moon Square Pluto person, they can kind of remove themselves from their feelings, their emotions, so much so that they start to feel like they're not even someone who really has feelings. They feel so disconnected internally. And then, people who are around them might see this and, call them a robot, or just see them as being someone who's quite unfeeling, even though they're very feeling. I have an example in mind. There's a film called Hancock from the 2000s with Will Smith and Charlize Theron, and they're both superheroes. And Charlize Theron has Moon Square Pluto in her birth chart. Her character is interesting. So she has a husband, and she has like her own little nice like family life. And we see her cooking for her husband, and she's trying to open a jam jar. She's like, "Oh my God, babe, can you get this for me?" And he's like, "Okay, sure." And he opens the jam jar, and she's like, oh. So she's like kind of pretending. She's pretending that she's not actually very strong or powerful. But she is. Will Smith's character, there's a scene where he's in her home and the husband's on the phone, and his back is turned to them. And Will Smith grabs this big, what you use to make like dough, to roll dough? It's huge and it's made out of wood. He grabs it and he poof, off the back of Charlize Theron's head, because he's trying to get her to admit that she is a superhero and that she's very strong and etc. And so when that happens, the wood splits over her head, and she's not in pain at all. She just feels annoyed, because it's like, who is this guy who's trying to be up in my house and ruin my domestic bliss? That was her vibe. So this is just to say that Charlize Theron's character is very, very powerful. She's very, very strong. Her body, the moon, is powerful Pluto. And it can withstand a lot of pressure. Yeah. And I think that's great for discussing Moon Square Pluto, because with Moon Square Pluto, the person is a lot stronger than they may give themselves credit for. Rather, they believe that their strength or their power is in spite of their emotions, especially when younger. I say that because that's how I felt when I was younger. I was always trying to project outwards that I'm a very strong person and very capable, by diminishing my emotions and feelings and trying to be rational and logical and deny that I'm actually a very emotional person. It wasn't until I started to look at my emotions through meditation experiences that I saw that I am a feeling person. Yes. Another example is Paige Matthews from Charmed. And in Charmed, she is a witch who has this power to make herself disappear when something scary is happening. So in Charmed, there are vampires, all sorts of beings who are trying to harm these witches, who are trying to protect the public. And Moon Square Pluto, the moon, rules over the public. and Pluto is about power. And for someone who's moon square Pluto, I feel it's important for us to turn our energy outwards, for the sake of giving. So in Charmed, we see this woman who is giving back to the public by trying to protect the public. Instead of just trying to protect ourselves, our own safety, because maybe there's a fear that we may be harmed, it's good for us to recognize that we have a lot to give to those around us. And that our love is for sharing and for cultivating with the community, with the collective, rather than saying my love is just for myself, or my love is just for those who help me feel safe and secure. So with Paige, whenever there's like a fireball or something that's being thrown at her to physically harm her body, she's able to kind of disappear into a bunch of light balls, and then she kind of reconstitutes herself back into her regular schmegular form. And I think that's just such a moon square Pluto thing, because it shows the power of the individual, but in this case she's using that power to protect her moon, her body, and her emotions and her feeling of safety. We have issues with emotional regulation, and this is why we try to shut our emotions off and shut them away in ourselves. But the thing is that when I'm not aware of what's happening internally inside, that thing can come out and hijack me at moments when I'm not expecting it, moments when I let my guard down. And with Moon Pluto, we have powerful Pluto emotions, Moon. And so if that just sort of comes out, it's not only, I guess, expressing just how destabilized or dysregulated I am internally, something I've just kind of compartmentalized away from myself or away from my conscious awareness. It's also dysregulating and destabilizing the environment and everything around me, which is a difficult experience for those who are in the environment. And so that's another aspect of Moon Square Pluto, which speaks to why it's very important that we become aware of how we're feeling so that we can use it. So that we can use it, we can turn it outwards, and use it in a way that benefits ourselves. And when we truly benefit ourselves, not just trying to keep ourselves safe because we're afraid that someone's going to destroy what feels safe and familiar, but when we truly benefit ourselves in recognizing this is how I feel, and growing in connecting with those beautiful feelings inside. When we do that, those around us benefit because they feel the benefit of those big and beautiful feelings touching them and helping them. In Charmed, in later seasons, Paige, we see that she actually has this ability to help heal individuals, and she even brings someone back to life, which is wild. Of course, this isn't what people do, in regular life. But the thing I love about television shows and movies is that it helps us see a part of ourselves through symbolism. And I think that helps us tap into that energy inside. And although we can't bring people back to life, we can, I think, help people restore maybe some sort of bond with themselves. Through love. It's like the power of this sort of relentless love, I feel, is a gift of Moon Square Pluto. And we can give that, we can share that. And our family members and those who we value and we feel very, very close to, they're the ones who benefit a lot from that sort of emotional healing that a wound that we've got going on with our feelings and our emotions, and believing that they are, in fact, powerful. Yeah, my emotions are powerful, and I have an obligation to work with them so that they don't come up, hijack me, and then harm those around me. So that instead they give a feeling of safety, comfort, and support to those around me. People start to feel like you're a safe space when you're in communion with your emotions. And because those emotions are so powerful, they do a lot to encourage people to feel good things inside. Yeah. So some examples. Mahatma Gandhi is a moon square Pluto, or he was a moon square Pluto native. And we see that he led this wonderful revolution to free, politically speaking, free people of Bharat from British occupation. And we see that he did that through these strikes where he refused to give in to violence. It was all about nonviolence. And we think about the yin, the soft, the creative aspect of the moon. The moon is soft, non-violence. It's very yin, it's very receptive. There might be people beating him and beating all the protesters, but the protesters are not going to beat back because that's how powerful they are. Pluto is psychological. And so we see that moon square Pluto happening in his life. I think the square also gives someone the gift of that strength to push back and to resist. Sorry, I think people are speaking in the background. I hope that doesn't bother this too much. But where moon trine Pluto might just feel their power but not do much with it, moon square Pluto is challenged to work with it and make it into something, because it's so irritating, that square. So it's very wonderful. Yeah.